Socialism is a violation of basic human rights.
Socialism is, or was that communism, or is it close enough?
I've never been able to distinguish the two.
Equal
suffering.
Equally shared misery.
Yes.
Because I got a news flash for you. Breaking news, everyone. We should get the banners going. Socialism doesn't work.
Socialism continues in Britain. Sooner or later, the harsh measures of absolute dictatorship will have to be applied, as they are applied in Russia.
Democratic socialism is not cut and dry. People think they know the definition, others misconstrue, manipulate, and lie. In truth, this concept is a radical ideology, promotes social ownership of means of production, putting more power in the hands of you and me. But it's different from straight-up socialism, you see. Although there's a socialist economic system, it also advocates for political democracy. And I know this definition is complicated and wordy, so I'll break it down in a second for those of you who are less politically nerdy. Means of production can be one of two types, but both are necessary to make things, and believe me, both are worth the hype. The first category includes buildings and tools. They're the instruments of labor, and we need them. I don't make the rules. The second category is the subjects of labor. These include raw materials and natural resources, like trees that get turned into pulp for paper. In a socialistic economic system, we all have a say. Instead of the surplus serving as income, the profits are spread, keeping starvation away. But the political democracy part is major. It means we still elect our government and keeps us out of Stalin-esque danger. And I know a lot of you are probably upset. So far, I've been pretty much one-sided. Don't worry, I haven't gotten there yet. Recently, there's been a Venezuelan crisis that many chalk up to socialism, say it's a shining example of the vices. But right now, they're facing a massive drought. Oil prices are low and that's their main export, so it's no surprise how things are turning out. Still, you say, what about the USSR? Stalin was a militant dictator, and that's why they didn't get very far. Besides, the US has socialist-type policies already, things like ESOPs and community-owned land that help keep local taxes low and steady. How is this possible? I'll explain. Many states own land and minerals, and then they share the gains. In Texas, each county gets money for education through Texas's Permanent Schools Fund. So why can't we do this across the nation? William Appleman Williams, yes, that's his real name, suggested we divide resources into bioregions and have it publicly owned so we all profit the same. Believe it or not, a quarter of our electricity comes from publicly owned companies and co-ops, but this doesn't get much publicity. And I know you're thinking about reinforcement. If people don't get monetary incentives, they won't work hard, so how can I endorse it? And it's true that people are filled with greed, but that's more of an issue in capitalism where CEOs make decisions and lead. People will work hard because it still improves their lives. Even though it doesn't go all to them, it still helps society as a whole, enables everyone to thrive. Critics say socialism gives handouts to the poor, and for them I have one question. What do you use your 5th vacation home for? So now I propose a policy that's a step in the right direction. A transition to a democratic socialist society would take a while and raise many objections. So how about we just increase co-op controls of energy? Conservative Nebraska was able to agree on it, so let's implement it nationally. The government has 2 requirements for co-op companies. They must be run democratically and also distribute the profits to members to prevent gluttony. So in this situation, consumer members benefit. They share revenues instead of far-off stockholders leaving locals desolate. An additional benefit is the ease of transparency. The public can hold co-ops accountable for environmental impacts and discrepancies. Co-ops focus on service quality and not on making money. The consumers make the decisions, and usually everything turns out sunny. However, there are some things to keep in mind. This plan does have downsides, and we can't go into it blind. An issue with democratically controlled co-ops is the time it takes to make decisions. In critical moments, leadership might flop. Another problem co-ops face is discrimination from banks. They're less likely to give them loans, which can cause strain on members and make them tank. Unintended consequences can include stagnation. If companies aren't going to make big bucks, there might be less motivation for innovation. But when you consider all pros and all cons, it'll improve American lives instead of leaving consumers defenseless pawns. So instead of asking, can democratic socialism nourish? I want you to ask yourselves, how can we create energy co-ops and make sure they flourish?